the AFC North. Let's go with the Cleveland Browns to start off. Vegas has their win total set at 4.5. I think that's a pretty good line, but I do think if we're going with Joe Flacco, I kind of like the over there. And I think my bold take for the Cleveland Browns this season is if Joe Flacco is the quarterback, they might not be that bad. Because last time he was the quarterback, they were not that bad. And if Quinshon Judkins can get going with what all the stuff he's, I guess, now cleared of, get comfortable, get with the roster. Jerry Jeudy, we saw sparks last year. You're adding Harold Fannin. The defense was never bad, I don't think, in my opinion. And I don't think Jerome Ford is bad. I think Jerome Ford is pretty solid as well. So him just being in that backfield with Dylan Sampson, I would say that'd be my bold. Now, I do not think they have a chance in hell to make the playoffs. When I say pretty good, maybe they go and are pushing and fighting to be 500 when we were all expecting them to be the worst team, in the entire league.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But then once again, I do think that with Joe Flacco, he gives you the best chance of winning games. I mean, I still think at his age, he does still put up numbers to be competitive. It'll all be about their skill guys. And, there's a lot of intriguing rookies on this team. Yeah, the Judkins situation, I guess the NFL still conducting their own investigation. They also go out and after the draft, he went undrafted due to legal issues of his own, but wide receiver Isaiah Bond, previously of Alabama, but coming out of Texas, all world talent, first round talent, a 4.3 something guy. They are not afraid to sign these guys with some legal issues possibly, but hopefully a couple of guys that put all that behind them and they're all good. But even a guy you didn't mention, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, anybody who watches SEC football, Dylan Sampson kept Tennessee alive last year. They would not have won as many games as they did without Dylan Sampson. He was the workhorse for them. So with the veteran like Jerome Ford and then these young guys, you've still got a Jerry Jeudy. But I think but then you're once again in hell of, okay, we win 5 or 6 games. And the fans don't want that. The fans don't want that at all. So it's just a tough situation to be. One, you maybe want to see some of these rookie quarterbacks if they get an opportunity, but they're not going to. They're far down on the depth chart, and Joe Flacco is going to be decent. And, yeah, you probably will win 4 or 5, I don't know about 6 games, and then you're just looking ahead at the draft again. But there is talent on this team. I just, we'll see. We'll see if you get a full season out of Joe Flacco, but I'm all interested in the rookie talent for Cleveland because there's a lot of it.
That's right. Well, let's go over to another team in the AFC. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Brand new quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Arthur Smith still out there. They got the new running back out of the draft, Caleb Johnson. They also have DK Metcalf now as their wide receiver 1. Jonnu Smith is back. Their defense is still tough as ever. I think I'll go ahead and let you rip off your bold take and your prediction before I say anything.
I think my bold take is they're not going to be they're not going to be very good. And I think that will be because we don't get a full season of Aaron Rodgers. I think at this point, it's maybe just natural to assume we're not going to get 17 games out of Aaron Rodgers. And even if you did, what does that look like? And I think the playoffs are not going to happen for the Steelers. I think that they're just going to be totally middle of the pack, if not below average. And, they've added some guys. You bring in DK Metcalf and essentially adding him and letting George Pickens get to Dallas. I think, Metcalf, we know who he is. Pickens could be an ascending star that you no longer have. You're really hoping on rookie running back Caleb Johnson to be something special. Until he shows that, Jaylen Warren is a decent back. He's going to play probably the bigger role.
You say your bold take is that you don't think they're going to be that good. My bold take would be the complete opposite. I think the Steelers are going to be really good, maybe. Look, last year they made the playoffs. They were good enough, and that was with Russell Wilson. I think Aaron Rodgers right now is better than Russell Wilson. I think Caleb Johnson and the running backs, I don't think you're losing a step there from last year. And I think your receiving core, I think DK Metcalf is an upgrade over George Pickens. And I think that Jonnu Smith is an upgrade over, just in addition, adding him to Freiermuth over there. Tomlin, look, he's going to grind his team to a good record. And I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to enhance that. The defense is great. This is one of the best defenses Aaron Rodgers probably ever had the pleasure of playing with. And last year for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers wasn't that bad. He wasn't that good, but Arthur Smith runs such a run-heavy scheme. I think it's just like, Aaron Rodgers, can you just do enough, right? Like Arthur Smith almost drug Desmond Ridder to 7 wins. He almost drug, Marcus Mariota to a 500-win season. You give him Aaron Rodgers and the defense. That's another thing. It's not like you ever had a defense over there in Atlanta. Now you got this great defense. I don't know. I think that the Steelers can be pretty good. I have them actually making the playoffs.
Yeah, I do not. I'm going to say it's not going to work. I think that you're asking too much. Everything you laid out is best case scenario when you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers at this point, whether it's his health or chemistry or all of it. I think that it's some major personalities are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to work well together. Time will tell on that. Is there talent enough on this team? I think so. They might be good at the starting level, but there's still too many questions. You lean on Najee Harris since he came out of the draft, and you lean on him awfully heavily. Now you've drafted a guy that kind of looks a lot like him and plays a lot like him, but he's got to prove it. Caleb Johnson. I just think that I'm not buying into it. I think something is going to happen. The wheels will come off at some point. The Aaron Rodgers experiment will not work.
All right. We'll see. Let's go to another team over there in the AFC North. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, the Vegas total for them is at 11.5. And look, I'm really high on the Ravens. I think this might be Derrick Henry's version of the Saquon Barkley year that we had last year. I think this is the year that the Ravens prove to everyone how much better that they are than everyone else in the NFL. I'm very high on the Ravens. We're going to get to our Super Bowl and playoff predictions here in a little bit, but I think the Ravens are going to be one of, if not the best team in the league.
Yeah, I can't say too much until we get to that prediction about the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it has to be this year. It has to be deep playoff run. It has to be Super Bowl this year. I mean, it really does. It has to be make the Super Bowl, win this conference championship, play in the Super Bowl. They're so good at drafting as well. They're going to be able to add to this team with guys like Malachi Starks, a starter level guy that you're able to get in the draft, that you can plug and play as your starting safety immediately. And you have a Zay Flowers who's only getting a year older. Now you've signed Rashad Bateman, who people might not love these weapons of Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, but
and DeAndre Hopkins, they just got DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's kind of underrated.
Yeah, and they can use him in the perfect way. You don't have to ask him to do a whole lot at this point. He can be a good piece for you, but your younger skill guys, you re-sign Rashad Bateman to, I think, a 3-year extension, but he's only 25 years old. He's more of the deep threat. Zay Flowers is a player I like a lot. He's the way Lamar moves around. He needs a smaller, quicker guy in the slot to find the holes in the defense, and Zay Flowers does that. I think Zay Flowers' explosion year is this year.
Okay.
You gotta have a good year out of your tight ends if you're Baltimore. That's just a big part of this offense. Mark Andrews, the poor guy, man.
They have the best tight end room in the league, like from your tight end 1 and your tight end 2 combined. By far, to me, best tight end room in the league, because I think Isaiah Likely might even be better than Mark Andrews at this point. But Mark Andrews, man, they were running him almost just like he was a right tackle last year, like just blocking on a lot of the plays. So if you had him in fantasy, that was incredibly frustrating the first half of the season. And then I know he had the most touchdowns he ever had, but he did all that at the end, and I already gave up on him at that point. Not that I'm bitter or anything, but I just think the Ravens. I love Isaiah Likely though.
I know. I feel for Mark Andrews too, though, man. He is, and yes, this is what the fans are going to do. If you have drops and big moments, it just feels like too many things go wrong for Mark Andrews all the time. Whether it's drops or health, it's always something. But those two guys, if healthy all the time, yeah, I like them a lot. And Isaiah Likely is a totally different kind of player than Mark Andrews, but an absolute offensive weapon, just an athletic freak at tight end. But the defense. When you look at the names on their defense, it's unbelievable. Kyle Hamilton, Jair Alexander, Roquan Smith, just to name a few. I mean, the talent is all there. They've been so smart at making additions. They're always one of the best coached and best ran teams in the league. Their front office is one of the best. So at a certain point, it's got to just happen for you. The whole narrative will always be, when will they be able to pull it off? It's got to be this year. I don't think they've had a team this well-rounded talent-wise. I think it's only gotten better every year, and this has to be the year it all comes together. You're only going to have Derrick Henry for so much longer. He's a freak. Yep. I could see a couple more years out of him, but don't waste that man's time. Who would not want to see him win that ring?
Well, hey, they may get it this year. Who knows? All right, one more team in the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals. Their win total is sitting there at 8.5. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be the second best team in this division. And I think that's saying something because I'm high on the Pittsburgh Steelers and I have them making the playoffs. Look, I'm really high on Joe Burrow. He looked great in preseason. They were trying to kind of get him warmed up. If the Bengals would have had a good defense last year, Joe Burrow might have been our MVP based off the year that he had. I think Trey Hendrickson, I think all that stuff's going to get figured out. I'm pretty sure the Shamar Stewart stuff is going to be figured out. Your wide receivers are happy. They have their contracts. I think Chase Brown is going to be the breakout player. I'm expecting like an Austin Eckler, like the peak Chargers, time for him over here in Cincinnati. I don't know. I'm just really high on the Bengals. I think they're almost like the opposite of the Steelers. Like the Steelers, their defense is great, and I think their offense is going to be good enough. And for the Bengals, I think their offense is great, and I think maybe surprisingly to some, I think their defense is going to be good enough.
All that will matter is the offensive line. The offensive line is going to make or break this team, and will make or break Joe Burrow, and if he can stay on the field. I have major concerns about this offensive line. You have to. I mean, it's a problem every year. And Joe Burrow is a gamer. He'll face it. But, man, he'll get himself in some dangerous situations. And they're an absolutely extremely top-heavy team talent-wise. Their five best players, Trey Hendrickson, Burrow, Higgins, Chase, and we'll say Chase Brown now, because I'm also a huge believer in Chase Brown. This will be a huge year for him. But they are so talented at the absolute top that if you lose one of these guys, it's a major blow. And, health concerns possibly with T. Higgins, we'll see. But if healthy, yeah, their offense is it's must see. But I have major concerns about the offensive line. I hope they can be good enough and keep Joe Burrow healthy, because when healthy, this team is one of the most fun teams in the league to watch. I'll say it's easier for me to say that they'll be the second best team in this division because I don't believe that much in the Steelers. So it's easy for me to say they will be the second best team in this division. But I'm just hoping for good health for Burrow especially, and that they do not let him down as an offensive line unit. We can rewind.